Once upon a time, in a deep, deep forest far away, lived a tribe known as the Mukwuk'S. They were a society that completely relied on orality to communicate. Without the existence of print, retaining important knowledge was vital for the survival and evolution of the tribe. They subconsciously used techniques such as repetition, rhymes, and anecdotes to remember basic survival skills. If knowledge was not passed on to the next generation, it would be lost. One rainy day, the chief called for a meeting.
The chief's calling a meeting. We're having a meeting.
I have gathered all of you here today because the water is rising. The storm that the gods have foreseen is upon us.
How can we be so sure?
The water has risen higher than ever before. It has been raining for 23 sun cycles.
My grandfather always said, seeing the water rise is truly no prize. This information that they pass down to us is very vital. We know this is going to be a very big storm.
Forget about your old grandfather. This is an elephantine storm from the gods. It will cause a gigantic flood. We must relocate our village to a safer location.
We've been here for generations. We can fight this flood. We've dealt with this kind of disaster before.
As I said before, the water is rising. This is going to be the biggest flood in the series that we've already had, and our village may be destroyed. But for now, all we can do is save ourselves and take shelter. The water is rising. The water is rising. The water is rising.
And so, the Mukwuk'S set off, trekking through the thick wilderness in hopes of finding a place to build a new settlement. After having lived in one spot for generations, the thought of relocating somewhere new was terrifying for the Mukwuk'S. After all, they had no way of knowing what to expect. Even the chief had never heard any stories about life outside of the village. Nonetheless, the determined tribe pressed onwards.
My house is destroyed. What do we do?
The whole village is destroyed.
We have no choice but to leave. The whole village is destroyed. We have to find another place to settle.
I'm cold and hungry. Let's stop here.
I agree. If our shelter is high, we should stay dry.
Okay, well it is starting to get dark. So why don't you get a fire started, and we're gonna go see if we can gather some food.
The hunters spent the afternoon fishing in hopes of later feasting in front of the fire. They tried different techniques they had learnt when they were young through rhymes and repetition from their elders. They cast a line out with bait, then tried spearing their prey, but in the end, they headed back to camp empty-handed. Back at the camp, a combination of witchcraft and the ancient art of snapping were used to get a fire started.
We didn't catch anything.
You both are weak. Come, I will teach you how to find food. No, stop! Don't eat that! My grandfather always said, brown dots bring blood clots. You can only eat them. Green is clean. I'm going to go wash the ferns.
Be careful! My grandfather died by being too close to the river, and the legends have it that a magical sea serpent came by and grabbed him and drowned him. Just be careful when you're that close. It's very slippery. You could fall. Oh no, she's gone anyway.
The Mukwuk'S mourned the death of their fallen companion. After several lengthy minutes of thought, they decided that they would settle where they were. They remembered that their old chief would always talk about how vital it was to have a source of water nearby, hills to stay dry, and a way out in case things went awry. By that standard, the Mukwuk'S had found a new oasis.